What is going on, everyone? It's Jay here. I'm just going to make this video right now. I know it's extremely late and I apologize, guys, but it's better late than never. This video is probably going to come out the day that the third episode comes out of Tokyo Ghoul, and then the review or discussion or whatever it's going to be coming out probably a few days after the episode actually releases. But this is going to be the discussion / comparison of the Tokyo Ghoul anime. And with this video, I actually want to do kind of like two different sections. The first section, I'm going to basically review the episodes, just, you know, review what's going on in the episodes and how Studio Period did the story. And then in the second section, I'm going to actually be doing more of the comparison, you know, what they did different from the manga, what they're taking out and everything, and a lot of spoilers as well. So I'm going to try my very, very best to not put any spoilers in the actual first section, but I'm giving you guys a warning right now, no promises. I might give a little bit of spoilers, but I'm going to try my very best not to. Now, these first two episodes are absolutely amazing to me. Look, I'm not going to lie, regardless of some stuff that was taken out in this anime for the first two episodes, they still did a relatively good job at iterating the manga content into the anime. It's not perfect, but they're doing their best, at least I hope. I wouldn't say they're doing their best. If they did their best, they would. Anyways, the anime regardless is pretty nice. So let's go over the first episode real quick. Now, the first episode, it was really, really good. Like, there was a lot of really good animation. The animation for this anime altogether is really, really nice. There's a lot more shine. There's a lot more detail to the characters and the background. It is just an overall really good produced anime as far as the actual animation itself. And the way that they actually did everything in this first episode was relatively good. I talked to a few people as well. I wanted to get their own opinion, and they were like, yeah, this episode is really good, and what's really good about this episode is that they put so much action, they put a lot of detail, they introduced a lot of characters that makes me want to watch it again, which is really good. They actually, they did something right, you know what I'm saying? And regardless, I feel the same way. I mean, I would continue watching this series. You guys know me. I would regardless watch this series because I love Tokyo Ghoul, but in this first episode, to me, it was really engaging, and they were able to put everything that you can expect in this series in one episode, I guess you could say. They had a lot of development. I'm not even gonna lie, they did not have to. Never mind that. They did not have a lot of development, but they were able to develop the characters in a manner where you want to get to know them more. And with the fight scenes and Serpent coming in, or Orochi or whatever. It's Serpent, all right, guys. Call him Serpent, okay? It's Serpent. And they were able to implement the story as well as they could. Now, there was a few things that were taken out, but let's talk about that later. But, you know, creating the characters Uri, Shirazu, and Mutsuki mostly. Psycho wasn't really brought into the second episode. They were able to at least really show the audience how these characters act. As far as Uri, like, his character development, it was okay. They were able to show how he is very strenuous for promotion and that he doesn't really care about anyone else. That's the only thing that I have an issue with, though, is that they didn't emphasize that as much as they did in the manga. But let me kind of not go into that territory yet. And when Uri actually used his Kagane, oh my god, man, it felt so good looking at that Kagane, man. When this anime came out, the first thing that I wanted to look at is how they were going to do the Kagane. In the first two series, they made it so that the Kagane actually looks a lot more colorful. It looks a lot more detailed. In this one, the colors of the Kagane look a lot more bland, I guess you could say. And it felt really good seeing all of the Kaganes, not just Uri. Looking at Uri's Kagane for the first time finally in animation and color and everything. Obviously, it's not directly from Shueisha, but it looks really, really good. Now, Serpent's Kagane, I don't know. So that's another thing when it comes to this, as far as, you know, if anything from season 1 to season 3, I guess you could say, because I don't know if this is season 3, but it's Tokyo Ghoul and Studio Period made the last 2 seasons. And when you look at Serpent's Kagane, this is not a spoiler because I would say that you guys have obviously watched the anime. Nishiki this man, his Kagane is supposed, at least in the past, his Kagane is supposed to be like a very bright blue and coral kind of color, and I really like that. I really liked the color of his Kagane in the anime. And then in this one, and this is like 2 years later, 2 or 3 years, about 2 years and a half later, his Kagane is like gray and just veiny with those colorful veins, which I really love that. But it's like when you look at Serpent's Kagane, Nishiki's Kagane from the first season, it's like really blue and shiny and glowing, if anything, rather, and it looks really cool. But then in this one, it's like really bland and gray. It's just like, what did you guys do there? But I'm kind of going off the bricks. But regardless, the fight scene was really good, and I love that they added the fight scene in there. But let's move on to the other character, which is Mutsuki. Now Mutsuki as a character, he seems really engaging so far. They were able to show a little bit with Mutsuki, but they didn't show as much as they should have, and I'm gonna save that for the spoilers part. But Mutsuki as a character so far, I really like. I like the voices that they're using, and so far they were able to more or less accurately depict what her character is supposed to be. However, I'd rather say that they didn't do the best job with Mutsuki just because of what is supposed to be going on exactly in the anime. But I'm glad that they did at least put in the part where she wasn't able to put out her Kagane because she just cannot control it at her current state in this time. Shirazu, they were able to depict that character almost perfectly. Now, as far as the English version, you guys know me. At least if you guys watch me, you guys know me, and I most of the time do not like English voice actors for anime. Like for English voice actors, the Kingdom Hearts the English voice actors, I can deal with them, and I love them because I've already played their games always. When English came out, so I was already used to their languages. But like for the first 2 seasons of Tokyo Ghoul, I felt like the English voice actors were so freaking dull. Oh my gosh. But in this version, it's a little bit better. But I kind of got sidetracked, so let's get back to Mutsuki. Let's just finish her up at least. Or not Mutsuki, I meant Shirazu. Shirazu seems to be really good, and they're able to depict his character really well. He's a goofy guy, as well as he is trying to compete with Uri, but at the same time he's working with Uri. And I really like how they did the first episode, and they also even implemented the whole Hori part where she's selling pictures, and they actually get a piece of Heise's fucking underwear to Hori, and in the future that is going to be used for something very important. I'll talk about that later. But for both the first and second episodes for Uri, Mutsuki, as well as Shirazu, they were really good at creating the characters so that we can be engaged and at least sympathize or just really care for those characters so far. I don't know about all that, and I don't know about that for most of the audience, but for me, I thought that they did a relatively good job with what they're trying to accomplish. And what they're trying to accomplish is create a good story for us to enjoy, even though they do not have all of the content inside of this anime. And then, of course, let's talk about Heise, because Heise, it's so good to look at Heise and see him so conflicted with his other self, and it looks really nice. I'm really glad that they put emphasis on the fact that Heise is Kaneki, but he's not Kaneki. He is a completely different person. He has no memories of the past, but he is still haunted by those memories, or at least rather the person who he used to be. Being killed, as far as Kaneki being killed and his memories being gone. I really love the interaction between Heise and Kaneki. It's so good to see it. As far as the English voicing, I was just like, Kaneki, come on, bro, you can do better than that. But with the Japanese voice actors, man, you can't go wrong with Japanese voice actors. I'm trying to tell people like this. But Heise, that character is so good, man. I love the emphasis and how good of a character that they made him into be for these first 2 episodes. And I really enjoyed the interaction between Heise and Arma. It is so freaking good to see Arma in animation and hear him talk and communicate and interact with another character, which is Heise, because Heise thinks of him as a father, and that is definitely going to play a part in the future, let me tell you. But I was talking about the characters. Let's talk about the anime itself very briefly. I mean, like I said, the anime It seems to be good. The animation is great. The story development is really, really good. They even added Kijima in here as well as Furuta and everything like that. I don't know. I mean, it's so crazy that Furuta is so early in the story, even though he is a relatively important character. But even though they didn't put in all the information that is needed, I feel like they still did their job in creating a story that can engage the audience and allow it to be enjoyable and also make the audience eager to watch more episodes. Now, let's get into the more spoilery part, what they left out of the manga, the comparisons and everything, and just discuss that, because there is definitely a lot of stuff that they left out. Like, I'm not even going to get over all of it today, because for the record, literally the first chapter of the manga is like completely gone. Like, there is nothing of the first chapter at all. Only like the very end of that chapter of the first chapter is where basically this anime starts, where Uri is in the car taxi with this random ghoul, not Torso, but he's trying to find Torso because he has already, gotten down to the point where he is pretty sure that Torso is a taxi driver. So he's already looking at taxis, but that's where it starts basically. And there was a lot of content in the first chapter, more or less, a lot of development for a lot of our characters in the first chapter that was just not even in there. But I do want to point out the things that are most important to me as far as what they left out, because there is a lot of good stuff that is like entirely character development that they just completely left out or only hinted at, where it's like, yo, this is really important to the character and you left it out altogether. For example, one of the first things that I noticed when I watched the first episode was when Mutsuki was inside the taxi with Torso. In this specific scene in the manga, Torso is supposed to open up her blouse, just rip that open, because in the anime you obviously see that he was like, which are you? And as far as the audience, I feel like the only way that the audience would understand what he's talking about is if they watch the other 2 seasons, because it sounds really familiar to Hinami asking Kaneki, which are you? Because he has a female Kakuja in his body, creating him or making him a half ghoul, but he's a male. So Hinami was confused as far as scent. Now, as far as Torso, it's almost the same exact thing. She is a female, but she acts and looks like a male, more or less. So when he turned around and he started chokeholding her, he was like, which are you? Now, in the manga, though, and this was not in the anime, he rips open her blouse, and it is revealing that she has breasts, but are like strapped down to flatten it to make her seem like a male as well. So that's one thing that I left out, and I'm a little bit worried that the audience didn't fully understand the fact that she is actually a female. I really hope that they, and I'm pretty sure they will because it's literally a part of the story, I hope they are able to explain that better in the future, because I feel like in this episode all they did was barely hint at it, only hoping that people that are at least anime only can understand what he's talking about. Now, as far as the fight scene between Serpent as well as Kaneki or Heize, I feel like that fight scene was relatively accurate. Everything basically happened in there, and it was, oh my gosh, it was really, really good to see Nishiki's face and the conflict between Kaneki and Heize when he sees that is Nishio, because once he wakes up, once he starts bouncing and cracking his fingers and stuff, that's when Kaneki ever so slightly comes out to play, but it's still Heize, at least I feel like. So when Kaneki more or less took over Heize's body, but was still Heize, and then he sees Nishio, that's when he realizes, like, wait a second, who are you? Why did I just say your name? Because I do not know you. And then there's conflict and everything like that. I really like that there was accuracy as far as that part. Before I get into any more other things, I wanted to talk a little bit about Psycho, just because I almost forgot her in the non-spoilers, because I forgot that I was doing both episodes. Psycho was introduced, and her character was more or less depicted well. I mean, not even more or less. They definitely depicted her as the person that she is at this moment, which is really chill. She does not do anything, and all she does is basically eat and game in her room. So I really enjoyed watching Psycho act like that. Another thing that was actually taken out of the manga, or rather taken out of the anime from the manga, is a scene that I do think is relatively important, even though it was just like literally like 5 seconds that they missed. After Heise actually demotes Uri, he tells him, or rather, Uri talks to Heise and he says, even though you're a ghoul, or in the anime at least, he says, I only see you as a ghoul, which is basically the same shit. And what happens after that whole scene where Shirazu gets appointed as the squad leader, Heise goes into his room and he basically just starts crying. You know, I guess he's just sad because he fights with his squad and that they see him in that manner, or at least Uri does. It was just a really emotional moment, which is really good character development for the Heise character that they're trying to build up in the first 2 arcs. And I'm really upset that they missed that out, to be honest. One more thing that they kind of missed out on the whole Uri outing his frames for his Kakuja, or his Kagane, to be more powerful. In the manga, what went on was obviously Dr. Shiba gave him a paper for permission, like a permission slip, so that he is allowed to go 1 extra frame to be more powerful with his Kagane. Obviously, there is a caution with that because it makes him closer and closer to becoming a ghoul the more frames that are broken. In the manga, which is different from the anime, they only hint at it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure in the manga, what happens is Uri does basically fake a permission from Heise, but at the same time, he actually does speak to Heise, and he tells him that I'm trying to, get my frame 1 more closer. And Heise basically says no. So that's why he faked the permission from Heise for Dr. Shiba. But another thing that they missed out is the fact that Uri had to not only get permission from Heise, but also from the Chief Washu. Spoiler. But we're in the spoilers, you know what I'm saying? Chief Washu, basically, Yoshitoki, I believe, or it might be his brother, goddammit. I don't remember who the fuck it is, but the chief. And when he goes to the chief to get permission, Arma actually steps in right behind Uri after asking for permission, and the chief asks Arma, like, what do you think I should do? Should I just let him go 1 step closer? Arma basically says yes, but it's just unfortunate that they did not add that scene into the anime, just to emphasize the notice that Uri got from Arma, more or less. Now, I do want to get a little bit more into the whole Uri situation because, like I said a little bit earlier, I feel like they're really missing on the emphasis of this character. In the manga, Uri, like almost any time Uri has any sort of panel time, he will be talking in his mind and saying some really fucked up shit and just speaking his mind, but it's in his mind. And he's really rude, basically. In the anime, they made it almost as if it's a joke, or at least that's what it felt like in the first episode. In the second episode, they made it a little bit more serious. But as far as frequency, how frequent it is, how much it happens, I feel like that was not accurate at all. Because in the manga, this man literally talks shit at any chance in the manga to the person that he's talking to or thinking about or whatever he's doing. He always has some sort of inner thought. In the anime, they did not emphasize that as much, and I feel like they didn't emphasize, at least on the first episode, only with that 1 scene they did, I guess, but they did not emphasize the fact that this man cares about nobody but himself and only wants promotion. I really hope that they emphasize that a little bit more in the future, but I kind of doubt it. I already see how they're flowing with this guy's inner monologue when it comes to what he's thinking, but I really wish that they emphasize the fact that he does not give 1 shit about anyone else and that he is really rude. Like that's one thing that was going on with Kurawa. When he met up with Kurawa, like there was definitely the interaction as well as the inner monologue thought, but I feel like they missed out. I just feel like they did not emphasize the fact that he always has something to say, but he only thinks it, and he's basically really fucked up and rude about it. And there's one more thing that I'm going to basically talk about as far as difference between the anime and the manga, as well as, in a sense, kind of end off this video. The last thing that I wanted to point out that they kind of changed from the manga is that at the end of the second episode, Heise, Shirazu, and Mutsuki all go to the Re Cafe, which is obviously where Toka works, and I believe she owns the place. In that scene in the manga, in the anime, they show Yomo looking at Heise, but he does absolutely nothing. He just sits there, he's looking at him, he's staring at him. Oh yeah, look at this guy. This looks just like Kaneki. I'm pretty sure this is Kaneki because I'm not man's and I know what's up. But in the manga, Yomo actually, when I guess he's looking at him or whatever, he notices him. But when Heise sits down, Yomo literally sits down right in front of him and stares directly in his face. And it is just it's an awkward moment. It's a funny moment. But I feel like the reason why they kept that out is just like, this guy, as far as the audience, it's like this guy already knows that he has another person who was his previous self. And if this guy were to sit down in front of him and just look at him directly, it would be way too awkward, and I feel like a little bit way too obvious that he obviously knew this guy before the Heise character. I'm a little bit upset, to be honest, that they left that part out, the fact that Yomo literally sits in front of him and just stares at him. But that's basically the only things that I can think of that were left out of this manga as far as anime iteration. Man, oh my gosh. In the manga, I feel like it was really, really good at showing off the emotion between Heise and Toka meeting again after so long. In the anime, they did a relatively good job as well. I just don't think that they captured it as much as the manga. I don't know. That's just me personally. When it came to the manga, like those panels when Heise and Toka meet for the first time after 2 years, oh my gosh, like that is one of my most favorite panels to date for this manga. In the anime, they were able to iterate it as best as possible, and I think they did a really, really good job. It's just that they didn't make the panel or the animation exact to the panel, which is what I was really hoping for. But regardless, I really, really enjoyed the interaction. There wasn't even interaction, but the meeting between Heise or Kaneki and Toka, and it was really relieving and really good to see that. And it's really interesting to see because a lot of people were complaining that, you know, the first episode takes up like 6 chapters of the manga, and then the second episode takes about like 3 or 4 maybe. I was really concerned, or not even concerned. It is relatively obvious that the anime is iterating the story really quickly. That's because they're leaving a little bit of content out, and in general, this manga is going on really quickly. It's like, when it comes to manga, we think that there is a lot more content and a lot more to be seen, and it would take a lot longer. That's because we literally are waiting for a new chapter of only 16 pages every week. So it's not too bad that they are making this seem like it is going quickly, but that's just because the manga comes really slow. And it's just really crazy because what I'm trying to get to is that when you watch the anime and then look at the manga of what direction it is going, it's really crazy how quickly they give in characters that are from the original story of Tokyo Ghoul and who actually interacted with Kaneki throughout that whole story, like Tsukiyama, Rabbit, which is Toka's brother, can't remember his name off the top of my head, Toka, Yomo, and Nishiki. That's literally like 5 characters or more that were introduced in the first 2 episodes alone from the original series. In the manga, it felt like it was forever before we actually got actual panel time from other characters, and it was very infrequent, at least for the Heise part. But they do it relatively good, and I'm really, really eager to see all these original anime characters, or rather original manga characters from the first series in this second series in the anime. And before I finish up this video, I just want to say one more thing. So it seems like this anime is going to have only 12 to 13 episodes so far. That's what I have heard. But what I have also heard is that this anime is going to be iterating the first arc. Now, in my previous discussion video as far as the trailer and everything, when I said first arc, for some reason I thought that the first arc was from this point up into the part where Kaneki comes back. But in reality, there are actually kind of 2 arcs in there. There's the first arc, which is the auction raid, and then the second arc, which is the Tsukiyama ending operation, I guess you could say, the end of the Tsukiyama family. So I think that they are going in the right direction as far as episode time and arc creation, because I was really worried that they would try and do 12 to 13 episodes for those first 2 arcs, thinking that it was only 1 arc altogether. That would have made no fucking sense, and they would not have been able to create that story well. But if they're actually doing the first arc, which ends only after the auction raid, which is Heise versus Owl, I cannot wait for Pineapple to fuck up Kaneki or Heise, whoever. It is going to be amazing to see that, and it is even hinted at in the opening where Hinami actually opens up, forms out her Kagane, and that usually would have happened, at least in the manga. She's creating her Kagane to fight Owl to protect Heise, who she sees as Kaneki. But regardless, I think that they're doing good, all right? I think that with them trying to create 13 episodes, hopefully, or somewhere around there, only for this first arc, that makes sense. That's a relatively good amount of time to add in the auction raid, and then whenever down the line, hopefully not too far down the line, but then they make a second season for Tokyo Ghoul Re Season 2, that's going to be Tsukiyama, the end of the Tsukiyama family and that whole arc. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If I missed anything out as far as the differences between the manga and the anime, let me know in the comments down below. As well as that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize for it being so late, and I also apologize for it being so long. I see that it's like 40 minutes long and something like that. So if you guys were here for the whole time, y'all are some real fucking troopers. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But if you did enjoy this, subscribe, like it up, and I will see you guys in the next video.